My name is Robert Cibi. I am a Roma visual artist from Hungary. I migrated to London in 2010. As my personal example of inclusion, I would like to explain my involvement with the program at University College London, creating exhibitions and workshops about Roma culture and identity, and last but not least, about the Roma people who also makes London their home. Through a wider program on global citizenship, UCL was looking at the way living together in Europe both connects and separates people, leading to communication across cultures, conflict, and cooperation. They were using this reflection to think about the way that we ourselves live together as global citizens in a diverse and interconnected world, including the Roma population as well. The projects I've been involved with are available to view at the UCL website, where Dr. Esther Tarsoy, the leader of the academic program I took part in, summarized the events and explained the rationale for the exhibitions. Esther approached me to get involved because she was leading a summer school on intercultural communication in the Central European context, and she did not want to exclude the Roma from the culturally diverse landscape of this region. I was always inspired by my own culture and I wanted to introduce it to others, using my art as a tool to communicate to the public. Since 2015, I've been collaborating with the UCL School of Slavonic and East European Studies. It gave me a great opportunity as a Roma artist to participate in the UCL Festival of Culture, funded by Catherine Thompson, and create exhibitions about Roma people and their heritage, exploring topics like migration and sense of belonging, and also what does it mean to be Roma in the 21st century. In 2016, an exhibition called Vagabonds of Bloomsbury was held to elaborate on the topic of arrivals in the city. Whether East Europeans contribute to or only benefits from British society was an increasingly overheated polemic at the time, with Brexit looming. Roma from Eastern Europe were particularly popular target of scaremongering. But how do these vagabonds perceive their own arrival in London and contribution to the city's cultural landscape? What are their first impressions of the metropolis, and what is the moment like when they first feel they have truly arrived in the city? With students and members of the public, we explore the fiercely debated and politicized question of migration from an intimate, personal perspective, for which a solo exhibition of mine painting served as inspiration. The paintings I exhibited focused on the question what the Roma themselves have to say about features of Romanesque in the 21st century. The exhibition featured my self-reflective work on Roma identity, traveling, and belonging. So the Roma were some kind of a symbol of the eternal migrant here. To raise the bar even higher on the topic of migration, in 2017, now past the Brexit vote, the next exhibition was called A Sense of Belonging, Mosaic from a New Portrait of London. Artists, lecturers, librarians, and students at University College London curated and created this exhibition, which provided a quick immersion into the migrant experience from a personal perspective. Interestingly, teachers, academics, and international students at UCL experience some of the same sensations when arriving in London and departing from home as ordinary migrants would. Migration appeared on this exhibition as one of the essentials of human existence, a dynamism of belonging and loneliness, attachment and separation, a sense of home, and an ongoing negotiation of arrivals. The exhibition consisted of 4 parts. This is what we called a new portrait of London. This was an image that emerged from a mosaic of locations of the ways in which the city appeared to those who arrived here for the first time. My section of painting displayed the experience of London as a special place of belonging. 4 of my exhibited aquarelles feature the themes of identity shaped by perpetual motion, relationship to space, and continuously shifting perspectives. These included paintings on the cityscape of London, some very typical like Tower Bridge, others very personal such as the London skyline, the way I see it. Another 4 aquarelles shared reflection on Roma identity as a symbolic place of belonging. These artworks present a floral patterned violin and gypsy horses, objects which are closely associated with Roma culture and trade in Central and Eastern Europe. Another painting is a Roma patterned word map. To show the cosmic attachment to our own roots, I borrowed patterns from headscarves and skirts worn by Roma women to color the globe. In these 2 series of 4 aquarelles, way of seeing places and objects that populate them become synonymous with ways of settling in and feeling at home in these new settings. Seeing something in a particular way means you are making it your own. You live through it. Following the success of these exhibitions for the UCL Festival of Culture, in the next 2 years, in 2018 and 2019, I was invited to contribute a workshop for international students at UCL Summer School, still within the Global Citizenship Program, this time with a focus on European London. In 2 weeks, students were engaging with European Londoners who have come from other parts of Europe to make London their home. They discussed questions of national, regional, metropolitan, and global identity. Ultimately, they were interested in the relationship between learning to live together as citizens of London and of Europe and learning to live together as global citizens. The idea behind the title Challenging Europe was that Europe is a controversial place of unification and separation. On the one hand, Europe is seen as united. Most people living in its various countries feel, to some extent, European, and not just French, British, Slovak, Portuguese, and so on. There is a shared political belief in democracy. On the other hand, Europe is also divided. Its people cannot read each other's literature without relying on translation. Nation-states promote their own standardized languages and defend their separate political interests. The ideal of challenge was represented by a focus on European population who are somehow seen as marginal to Europe, not really European. This included the Welsh, the Sami-or-Lap, a northern Scandinavian Aboriginal group, some East European groups such as the Poles, and also the Roma. The Roma, of course, were not bound to a geographic location. They represented a group that, similar to some other migrants group, can be found in Europe everywhere, but without a specific land or country to belong to. UCL students were exploring and challenging the idea of Europe through mapping experiences of migration and movement in London. To do this, students used mixture of media, short films, interviews, photographs, and collage to represent Europe's theoretic cultural heritage. My role in the program was to design and lead a couple of sessions on creating collage images inspired by poems and stories written by Roma writers or stories told by the elderly or by children, which were recorded only orally. In both years, there were about 100 students divided into 7 or 8 groups. After a lecture and discussion on collage art and Roma art, students worked in groups to create the collages. Through this exciting interpretation using literature to create an image, we explored Roma values and identity and how we can relate to each other as human beings. The results have been exhibited and celebrated at the university, again as part of UCL Festival of Culture. I was incredibly proud to see their artworks exhibited. As I told them how to think about collages and the techniques of visualizing stories through objects found in the material world, I felt that in their work somehow I was included as well. My own way of thinking and visually imagining stories told by the Roma.